You're listening to In Between the Lines. I'm Hugo, and if you're new to the show, we slow down and sit with what poems are really trying to tell us. And if you're returning, welcome back. Today's episode looks at two pieces by the remarkable Simon Armitage, England's poet laureate since 2019, raised in Marsden, West Yorkshire. He's a talented poet, playwright, musician, and novelist, famous for his extensive collections of poems where he twists and turns everyday language into award-winning work. Today, we'll be pairing The Manhunt and About His Person, two Simon Armitage poems that may feel miles apart in tone but meet together. The fragile, human-centered story we only get through traces. In The Manhunt, we feel a partner's slow, careful search for the man she loves after war. In About His Person, we meet a dead man through the small things in his pockets. One poem warm and close, the other cool, detached, and fragmented. Both different, but with similar messages. The body keeps score, and so do our belongings. Let's start with The Manhunt. The opening is slow, repetitive, and patient. After the first phase, after passionate nights and intimate days, only then would he let me trace the frozen river which ran through his face. The repetition of only then sets a pace that's, in a way, relaxing. Nothing is forced, and every detail learned is earned with trust and time. The imagery is saturated with tactile metaphors, slowly telling the story of a soldier's body through objects we'd usually treat with care. His collarbone is described as porcelain, something fragile and breakable. His lung, a parachute silk, thin and delicate. Even his jaw is a blown hinge, like a door that no longer fits to its frame. These are everyday things, yet Armitage twists them into symbols of damage and tenderness at the same time. Yet, out of all the metaphors, a common favourite is the frozen river which ran through his face. The amount of depth within this one line is extraordinary. On the surface, it may capture a physical scratch or scar, but diving into it further, it could refer to a river of feelings that since returning have been hardened like ice. Furthermore, the word frozen perfectly reflects the state of mind near the beginning of the poem. But there's something about The Manhunt that invites us in all close. About His Person, on the other hand, deliberately keeps us at a distance. Instead of intimacy and touch, the poem is so much more forensic, almost like a police report. £5.50 in change exactly. A library card on its date of expiry. Straight away, the tone is detached. We realise this isn't about the man at all, but his belongings, evidence he left behind. Armitage builds the entire poem around an inventory, in which, in every couplet, there is a new item. A postcard stamped, unwritten but franked. A pocket-sized diary slashed with a pencil. From March 24th to 1st of April. Each fragment telling the viewer something different, but it is never direct, more of a hint, a story without an ending. This is further reflected in the extensive half-rhymes layered throughout. The emphasis that we only will ever know half of the story. Rhymes like exactly and expiry or silver and finger. What is striking is how opposite it feels to The Manhunt. In that poem, scars and metaphors pull us towards empathy, while About His Person, the objects do the talking. The man is silent, his possessions are all that's left. One detail that stands out is the line, "An analog watch self-winding, stopped." On a literal level, it's just a broken watch, right? Nothing special. But knowing Armitage, it's never really just literal. A self-winding watch should keep ticking as long as it's worn. As long as there's life, movement, the fact that it stopped suggests more than time running out. Makes it feel like a choice. Maybe the man could have wound himself back into the world, but didn't. The stopped watch becomes a metaphor for his life ending in final act of stillness, a moment where continuation was possible, but rejected. Then there's the final haunting image, but crowning one finger, a ring of white, unweathered skin. That was everything. The absence of a ring that was once there tells us something. It suggests a marriage that has perhaps ended, a divorce, or a partner leaving. The pale white mark where the ring once sat tells us something. It indicates it didn't get removed much. It is easy to read this as the cause of possible suicide. Armitage doesn't state it outright, but he leaves it open for interpretation. And as about his person is left open, so is the manhunt in a way. After tracing the scars, the ribs, and the metal beneath his chest, Armitage ends with, "Then, and only then, did I come close." It is a subtle finish with no real resolution, using another imperfect rhyme of closed and close, showing how the problem is still not fully resolved and might never be. Armitage throughout this poem has shown how war permanently affects people, not just those on the front lines, but those at home just as much. This brings the two poems together. Both end with some sort of absence, where Armitage leaves us with traces, not answers. These poems use detail to do the heavy lifting. In the manhunt, ordinary objects turn to metaphors for fragility and love. In About His Person, the random objects of a library card or a watch becomes evidence of loss. Both poems insist that the human story is written into the smallest marks and items we carry with us. Anyways, thanks for listening to In Between the Lines. Be sure to check in next week Friday for your weekly poem breakdown. Hugo out.